or yeah, Marvel Heroes in, I don't know, like a month or so. I've been playing on and off. And so after I saw the movie, I was like, I gotta fire it up. And so I played some Marvel Heroes this weekend
Shit, my internet
as
just went out for
well.
like a second. I think we're back.
Is it? It's back.
Yeah, my internet
Colin.
just went out, I guess.
Okay.
Time Warner, man.
Killing.
It's
Did you
just
actually? Did you save this locally?
no.
Are you saving it locally? All right, I'm backing it up then, just in case, so the people on YouTube don't suffer. But
That's
anyway,
noble of you.
I saw Thor: Dark World with Colin. Colin, what'd you think of it? You think it was pretty good?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think I
Okay.
posted on Twitter afterwards. I felt like it was a little high on funny moments and light on like big environmental stuff.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I
overall,
would
it was
agree.
good. It's good, good film.
Okay.
The
Uh,
one cameo in it, which I won't spoil, it's kind of shitty.
yeah, just based on how they did it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Apparently, what we missed, and I will say this for people that end up watching the end credits, we didn't see the second one. There's actually two, Colin.
What?
Yeah,
We
there's
stayed
two
there.
end.
Is there another
well,
one?
there's two end
That's
credits.
messed
Yeah,
up.
so we didn't know about that. Yeah. Oh well.
Buzz is still there, I guess. All right, I'm gonna have to mute myself every time I'm not talking.
Dang.
Oh wait, other people are saying no, so maybe it's just really light.
It is pretty light. I mean,
Whatever.
it's what it normally is for me, but no one can usually hear it. I don't think. Um, Let me see what other games did I play this weekend. Battlefield 4, played a lot of that. Uh, I am still working on all of my weapons as of right now, going through Domination. I posted some tips and tactics videos for all of the people that watch Frag Logic that are Gears heads. Been putting on the tips and tactics videos for Battlefield. Go check it out. I know I got some people that are like, yeah, I can't wait to watch this and get into it, but I'm waiting until next gen until I buy Battlefield, which if that's the case, go back there, support some of those vids, guys. We got to take it over. We got to take it over because I'm trying to get the. I'm saying this nicely, but I'm trying to get the filth off of YouTube with some of the stuff I've seen with some of the other guys that don't quite. They do tips videos, but it's always the same shit that you always see over and over and over. Let me break down all these weapons and show you the stats on these weapons. This is so yeah.
There's very few
Same
people doing good tips videos.
There's very few. So listen, guys, I'm really trying to break this down from a competitive standpoint because we have a history with it. Most of the guys, other than Rival X Factor, who does a phenomenal job, you don't get that from them. So just, I'm not trying to shit on other people, but I'm just telling you that you're not getting quality tip stuff because competitive, they're not competitive. That's all I'm saying.
Demand more from your tips.
Demand more. Obviously consoles are coming out. Christy just came in and she wants me to cancel the Amazon one and she wants me to get it on Best Buy because we're just going to go to town at Best Buy. She might as well just do it at Best Buy. So
Best Buy credit card.
yeah, it's because we got the Best Buy credit card. So it's just like, oh, okay, I'll cancel on Amazon. But that's for Xbox One. PS4, Colin, what do you think about all the people like getting? First off, consoles were getting banned, right? Xbox One, the dude signed on live, told everybody about the 500 meg update. Console gets banned. I forgot who it was.
It's not that unexpected though.
Why? If you get your product early, why should it be banned? If
I'm
you're
not saying it should, but it's not that unexpected that it would. I mean, there's not a lot of precedent because there's not up till now there hasn't been a console that requires being online to use most of the stuff. You know what I mean? So I mean, there's not a lot of precedent, but I kind of expect for it to be console ban. He's only temp ban. They're gonna remove it before a release. He also got invited out to their launch party, I guess.
Oh, they said sorry, you're invited. I
Yeah, and
guess.
chat. I'll be doing Titanfall vids for sure. I'm probably gonna do some Project Spark vids here up soon once I'm in the beta, as well.
Yeah.
I'm
Actually,
excited for Titanfall though. Like that's my next major game I'm gonna play.
yeah. Colin, that's pretty much it for me for the weekend. Obviously, there's a lot of other stuff I want to try to talk about, but this is going to be a long show today, I think. So, I do want to hit. I'm just going to ask you, Colin. You can kind of lead into this with your weekend stuff. What do you think about the Google Plus integration on YouTube?
Poorly done. I think that's probably the best way to word it. But I have noticed that the comments are better. The downside is that the comments are also generally longer because it's posting the like quality content from commenters. So like when you look at the comment section, it's like wall of text instead of like here's the 2 comments that are top comments. Here's like upload replies, and then here's like just useless shit after that. So like it's a lot of just stuff that isn't filtered in any way to me. But it's better content. Like if I actually wanted to read all that, then it'd be better.
Yeah, definitely agree. I've seen a lot better. Well, you know what? We have a different type of audience than I think most people in terms of some of the content that we put out. So you see a lot more like intellectual, articulated comments versus, oh, that shit was cool. WTF, LOL.
Sometimes that stuff's nice just
What?
as line breaks, though, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is I need the line breaks of the people saying useless stuff in between the good parts. Because otherwise, I'm not going to read that shit. It's just too long.
First, second, third, ha ha ha, die because you commented first.
There's no like
Go
top
to hell.
comments, right? Like there's no
I want to
actual...
kill you. Top comments are generated for me now, so I put people in circles, and it generates basically subscribers.
Does it split them off
to the
though,
top.
or does it just list them at the top?
It lists them at the top.
Because they're all supposed to be top comments now, right? Like it's just a list of the top comments in order.
Yes.
Yeah. It seems very poorly implemented. That's, I think, the best summary. It was maybe necessary, though. Maybe. Just to bite the bullet. I think that the stuff they changed is good, but requiring Google Plus is the really downfall of everything.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing that, and Hawk Tanner just mentioned it in the chat, is all of the link crap that's going on. I've already banned all of the necessary... Yeah, phishing type scams that would be possible. So every time someone posts a link now on my channel, I get prompted to review the link and the comment itself. So if I don't recognize that person and I know they're not commenting on my channel with a regular basis, that gets deleted. So fail safe on mine. And I've advised everyone on YouTube to definitely look at that blacklist and ban all of the necessary words so that you don't have that link spam Twitter nonsense happening.
All right. So before we get into maps, there were some really good tournaments this week. Did you watch any of them?
I didn't see one.
You didn't see anything?
No. I saw people talking about it on Twitter. I was
Didn't see Navi versus Alliance round 2? Well, round 3, I guess. International would have been round 1.
Yeah, didn't see it.
Didn't see it? Navi just
Whooped them?
it was close. It was a close series. It went 5 games if I remember right. But they won. And then there was WCS this weekend. I watched the StarCraft finals where SOS won over Jaedong. The fact that Jaedong was in the finals was pretty hype in general. There was also Hearthstone Invitational, which Artosis actually won. Artosis being a StarCraft commentator, used to be one of the top American players. So he actually won the Hearthstone tournament over a couple of like the big major streamers for Hearthstone. So that's pretty interesting. They had like 100,000 people watching.
Wow.
A card game tournament.
Are you serious?
People. Yeah.
Wow. How embarrassing is that for some of like the...
Yeah, for StarCraft, who is also at the same time. I don't think StarCraft made that many for finals.
Oh man, how embarrassing is that for some esports guys getting whooped on by...
Artosis beat Crip in the finals.
Oh man, that is incredible.
And then also this weekend, well, there was the Alliance vs Navi also had like 150,000 people watching that match. And it was just a match for an online tournament. So it wasn't...
That is incredible.
It wasn't like super big. But they were playing online for like, I think it was like 10 grand or 15 grand as a tournament pot. So it wasn't like a major tournament. It was just those two teams were playing, so everyone tuned in. It's pretty cool.
That's sweet. That's really sweet.
Also this weekend, not a tournament, but
BlizzCon?
Well, there's BlizzCon, yeah. I was going to say, we talked a little bit earlier about Natural Selection 2, and they were crowdfunding that tournament.
Tournament, yeah.
They made their goal.
Did they?
very final hours of the funding thing. So they barely made it over 30K. Partially in thanks to NVIDIA putting up 8,000 and NVIDIA and Intel both put up $8,000 each. I'm not sure if that actually makes them sponsors or anything, or if they just contributed for the hell of it, you know. So they rose 16,000 with Intel and NVIDIA, and then $14,000 through their community. Averaged out to like $50 a person as far as contributors went, which is pretty damn badass. So I think that's pretty exciting. They're using that money to fly people out, internationally fly people out for the finals. From a strictly player-run tournament, natural selection devs didn't have anything to do with it. They promoted it, but they didn't really have anything to do with it.
So, just so some guys know, we've been really interested in this whole crowd-sourced funding for tournaments. And I actually mentioned, I couldn't remember the name of the game until you said it, so I made sure I write it down. But I mentioned it to some of our devs at the studio, and they were really interested in it. And it was the immediate, because I just mentioned crowdsourced tournaments, for funding. And it was, can you give me an example? And I was like, oh, I can't remember the name of the game. I can't remember. So now that you just told me, I made sure to write that down. So that's really damn cool.
Also on the crowdsource front, MLG is doing a pass similar to the Compendium, where $2.50 from every one of their ticket sales goes towards the prize pot, and that prize pot's gone from 50,000 to 100,000. So
100,000.
They've raised, they doubled the prize pool in like a week.
I saw Sundance tweeting that. That's so cool.
Yeah, I think that stuff's awesome.
That is the future, ladies and gentlemen. I'm convinced. All right. You ready?
So does that cover everything?
I think that's pretty much. I mean, there's a couple other things. Here's one for you. Sony, 4 days before the game launches, updates their terms of service saying, "Hey guys, we may be monitoring your privacy concerns." Hey guys. There was another one
to their terms of service, and it wasn't something that was in for a while now.
No. It was updated on their terms. Everyone posted about it. They updated their terms of service to say, hey, guys, we may monitor your stuff. There's an article on Polygon. I saw it on GameSpot first. If anyone wants to search it, I don't have the link right here because we were going to focus on other stuff. But I was like, again, I was saying that same thing. I'm gonna shit on Microsoft here in a second, too. But I was saying that same thing. You guys don't play. Nobody wants to play fair. When Microsoft was talking about privacy stuff with Prism or whatever, people were shitting all over them in media. Sony waits 4 days before the game launches, the system launches, and then they say, oh, guys, we may be monitoring you. And everyone's like, crickets, that's fine. What the fuck? Like, both ways. Both ways.
I haven't read the details, but yeah, if that's the case, then...
Both fucking ways. That makes no sense. Like, if you're a person that's not upset about this and you were fucking shitting on Microsoft, you're a fucking hypocrite. Fuck you. Now, for Microsoft, they released this day one update. Colin, okay, you know how I was pissed off at Sony, right, for the day one update. Half of a console, right? You're getting half the features. Microsoft is shipping 500 meg update day one. If you don't get the update, you can't do anything. You just bought a $500 brick. They said you can't even play games. Like, you're going to buy it. Hey, guys, I bought this. I'm going to play Rise, Son of Rome, a single player. Yay! Nope.
I thought they had said that before, though. I thought they had said that there was a day one update to remove the...
But they didn't say that you weren't going to be able to play your games. I read something that said you can't play your games.
I feel like that was communicated. Maybe communicated poorly.
Maybe?
I thought it was pretty clear that they needed an update to remove the
DRM?
always online DRM stuff that they had originally.
You can't even play your games. Oh. Listen, I read that. I was laughing so hard. Like, wow, are you serious? Like, just imagine, like, you're just off somewhere in the country, like, you just can't get internet. You're like, yeah, I just got my new Xbox. They got it delivered from Amazon. I'm ready to go. Got my games pre-ordered. You put in your you put in your game and it doesn't work. Oh man, that would be hot.
I mean, I'd be more worried if it was like I was out and I had satellite internet or something really shitty where it was gonna take me like days to be able to play my console I just bought.
Oh man, you talk about something, man. They're gonna get so many
next gen
customers.
consoles just basically they need the internet. Like if you buy it under that assumption, I think at this point.
Oh, whew. Colin, listen, I was screaming this weekend reading some of that stuff, just like wow. All right, good thing that's not the focus today. But I felt like I needed to mention them, so let's go ahead and get into it.
Right, let me update the topic real quick. All right. So before we get into this, I want to add some stipulations to how I went about making this list and where my mind was at. So it's best MP maps of current gen, so that's Xbox 360, PlayStation 3. Didn't really include PC in this, but like some of them were cross-plat and that kind of thing. I tried to avoid. This is shooters, by the way, since it's maps and not levels. So tried to avoid things that were like old remakes. So like if it was something that was made in previous gen Xbox and PlayStation 2, I didn't include it in the list. For the most part, there's a couple exceptions. Beyond that, there's not much PlayStation on there, which is a side effect of the fact that I didn't play much PlayStation multiplayer. The fact that it wasn't really that great for shooters in general, and KL also didn't play much PlayStation multiplayer. So, quite frankly, my favorite maps of this gen are going to mostly be Xbox 360.
You should also add with the
that's my
PlayStation thing.
Yeah.
You should add that we did play Resistance.
Yeah,
One,
we did.
two. We did play Mag. We did play Killzone. So it's not like we haven't played those games. I don't feel like any of them were compelling enough. That's just my personal opinion. We played a lot of Resistance too because we were trying to practice for that tournament.
Yeah, and I
Do
still
you
wouldn't say
remember that?
the maps were outstanding. They were okay.
They were okay. So
Yeah, but the vast majority of my hours are Xbox by
yeah.
far. So, with all that said, there's a top 10 at the end, and Arctic also had like some extras. So I did my top 10. It was 70% match with KL's top 10, and then there was 3 extras, so I included those on the list. But before that, here's the giant wall of honorable mentions, which we'll kind of dig through. These are the ones that made my short list, but not the shorter list. And there it is. And these are all over the place.
They really are.
Do you want to pick like a few of your favorites off the list and talk about it that way?
I kind of want to, because we have so many people, really strange. I put a video out as a prelude to this, kind of talking about some of the maps that would be in here, and it was really alarming to me the number of I'm only playing this game. I don't know any other maps because I've only played this game or this franchise, and it was like, wow, like I feel old because I played so many different games, and I don't know if it's just people get wrapped up in it or they just don't explore and they're just hyper focused on one game. They feel like that's the best. But I feel like if you don't experience either by renting, buying, whatever, because obviously I know games are expensive, but if you're not experiencing a lot of other maps and a lot of other games, I don't feel like you have a very good knowledge base to be sitting there bitching about what you need to do for map design and how this could be so much better because you don't have a lot of experience playing other games. So if you only play one, tough luck. This is just my personal opinion. I don't feel like you should be like, oh, this map is shitty because XYZ when you've only played that franchise and you don't have a very good knowledge base of map design, map flow, map spawns, how it can be different, how it can be better, worse, whatever. So I feel like going into this generation, at least try stuff out. If it's free to play, try it out. If it's something you want to rent, try it out. Expand your knowledge base of games so that you make more informed decisions about, one, your gameplay style, how you go about things, and two, how developers can actually improve. Like if you want to make suggestions on a forum, have some knowledge base to go, okay, on this game I remember this kind of flow and this is how these guys dealt with it. Maybe we can try this as a suggestion. You become a better community member if you have more experience with the games. So I just want to say that really quick,
Yeah.
all right?
It's funny because I end up using references to all these games on this list and more at work all the freaking time. Which
Yeah.
is basically the same thing as arguing your points on a forum. You know, it's like, well, I remember this map back in Unreal
Right.
Tournament 3, like, they did this, and it made sense because of this, you know, like,
Right. Exactly.
as well as this map being, or this list being a good indicator of all these games had some redeeming quality, you know, like, A, they kept
And
us
this,
playing enough to have a favorite map, and then B, there were maps that were well designed and were like, hey, that's a good map, you know, and it's something that you kind of store away, and it's like, that's your
right.
memory from that, which was cool, because really, this show is all about nostalgia, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's, hey, let's remember all that cool shit we played over the past 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. Definitely. Um, so getting right into it, I want to start with some of the ones that I think no one has probably played. I don't even think you played this. I played this game with Phobos. So I'm going to start with Red Faction, Gorilla. The reason I like the game specifically because they had that I can't remember what it was called, but the geo forming, like you could shoot things, and it's kind of like Battlefield, but it's like you could terraform a map almost. And so one map I vividly remember is this map called Radial. It was set up, and the reason I remember it is because it was like on Mars or whatever, so everything was red, but they had these buildings or whatever that you could go through, and so the gameplay inside the buildings was always really interesting because you would see like people terraforming around the buildings and just I don't know, it just made the dynamic of the gameplay really weird. Now, some of the other maps that they had were really open, so that was one of the few, in my opinion, that had like a dynamic of being inside and outside with the terraforming. It's the best way I can describe it because I don't know. I know a lot of people don't know the map.
I'm laughing because I'm trying to pull up images and it's just not happening.
Yeah, so that's one of those ones where it's like, man, if you haven't played it, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So it's like it's just abstract nonsense that you're getting. I'm surprised. Listen, all right, so guys, I'm calling Colin out because this man talks about Gotham City imposters like it is the shit. And I looked through his list. He didn't even have a map listed.
Like the maps were good, but they weren't great. Like I kid you not, I went through my list and literally I made this list by looking at every game I played since the Xbox came out. So I went down this entire list, and I was like, well, all right, Gotham. That was really fun. But were any of the maps like the most memorable map to me was the Carnival one. I can't remember what it was called.
Amusement Mile.
Yeah,
or something like
Amusement Mile. Like that was probably the best map to me, but like it wasn't really that great to have it on this list. Like this is an awesome list.
An honorable mention.
I would have given an honorable mention to the game.
Listen, guys, listen. He was saying that Gotham City No, it didn't.
Good.
No, because you could do that crazy the hook. Like you could do so many hook shots off of that map. That was a fantastic map. But this guy was like Gotham City Imposters. It was one of the best games he's ever played.
It's awesome.
Now, it's good, but for him to have it as one of the best games on Xbox 360, current gen, that he's ever played as a shooter and not have a map listed.
It's also because of gameplay and movement, though. Like, the map design was okay, but it wasn't great. It wasn't bad. Like, most of the maps weren't bad, which I think is its best quality. Like, all the maps were consistently average, I would say.
Gotham Power is honorable mention for me. Okay. Fantastic movement on that map. I love it. Let's see. Then we have Monday Night Combat. I think that's really the only one.
That's the Monday Night Combat map. Like that's the reason I included it is because that's pretty much the Monday Night Combat map, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like there's the other ones, but no one really played them, or like when they were played, it was just because it was on a rotation.
We played them because we had to in that tournament.
Yeah, but like Grenade 3 was essentially. I mean, it was Monday Night Combat as a sport. Yeah. Like as a sport, it was the map, and it was fun too.
That was a great map. Fantastic game in itself for its time. Just came out at the wrong time frame. Came out right when Halo 3 was releasing. Just sucked. Let me see. Everything else on there, I pretty much think we have overlap.
Where we'll be talking about those games. Yeah.
Well, I have Call of Duty. I have 2 Call of Duty 4 maps. District and Vacant. Which I love Call of Duty 4. District, both of those I can still remember, like going every single hallway, every single nook cranny, like that. Those maps are photogenically memorized for me. I I loved both of those maps. And Call of Duty 4 had some amazing maps overall. Just all of them were memorable. I have Nuketown from Black Ops. Um, I wanted to list Shipment as well, but there was something about the spawning on Shipment that felt a little bit more random than Nuketown. So that's the only reason I didn't include that one. But I feel like those are in the same vein. Let me see.
Carrion Sand stuck out as the best COD 2 map for me. By far. I was never. I wasn't a huge Call of Duty 2 fan. It was pretty frustrating, actually, because everyone had freaking snipers all the time.
Yeah.
But that map was one I never really got frustrated to play because it had a really good variety in the types of engagements you have.
Yeah, tense, dude. There's so many good maps. Like, it was so hard for me to look at the Call of Duty 4 maps and be like, which one do I like more? That is one of the hardest choices for this list that I had to put together, was maybe that and Halo 3, but Call of Duty 4, God, there was just so many good fucking maps. Just ridiculous. And that is Respawn Entertainment, guys. Respawn. Let me see. You have Shadowrun on here, but I remember Power Plant. I remember 2 maps specifically on Shadowrun, and everything else is a blur. So, I mean, can you kind of...
I mean, I didn't play a ton, but as I was going through my list, that map stuck out as good map design to me. I mean, it's very interior versus exterior was the way the gameplay was set up. But that map was just... There's something really compelling to me about asymmetrical maps that handle that type of gameplay well, and I think that map in particular felt like a siege. There was, I think, 4 different ways into the base, and they all kind of had their own unique way of approaching them. And
was that the
way
map
that it all converged was great.
The map where you have an outside and there was carts on the outside, and then the inside was the actual plant?
It's really just a big warehouse, and then there's a bunch of differences. It was one of the beta maps. I think it was the beta map.
I think that was the one I remember then. Okay,
there was only one map in the beta. Or no, there was 2, because the other one was the mall-looking one, which I can't remember the name of. Lobby, I think it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, that one stuck out to me as good map design. I wasn't a huge Shadowrun fan, but that map was good. It was really good.
Okay. Let me see. You listed that. We both had... No. Well, I was going to add Countdown, and then I saw you already had it, so I left that one. Halo Reach, Countdown. Halo Reach is one of those games where...
They had some good maps, but it was really weird selection. They all had small flaws, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a couple things I didn't like about Countdown that would have kept it out of a a top 10 list for me, for Halo, at least. But there were some things that I liked about it on Reach.
It was clean and simple and played really well.
In conjunction with the abilities and stuff that they had added with there, and yeah, it did play really clean. Right. One of the few maps that the jetpack actually felt good on. Let me see. Go ahead and...
I do think there's a lot of overlap
go ahead and
top 10 list.
Yeah, there was a lot there. You have Sentinel from UT3.
Yep.
I don't know how many people actually played UT3.
I think it was possibly the best duel map. Possibly. Just the way it played, and I feel like it was really interesting because, yeah, Rabbit, there's a whistling sound. It's my mic. I don't know how to do it or how to fix it. So yeah, I felt like it was the best duel map by far. It was really weird, the way it was set up, and I think that's what stuck out to me is really interesting. So it was all corridors on one side, and then just a big open room on the other side where you had your armor. And the way that everything connected to each other, it was just really interesting. And then you always had to come back to that big room, which made you vulnerable.
Yeah.
It was kind of it was a classic 1v1 map, is I think the best way to describe it. And it was probably the best 1v1 map of any of the maps we're going to talk about through the show. So that's why I feel like it was worth calling out.
I'm trying to see what else. You have Calypso, Casino, Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
I didn't play a lot of Rainbow Six. I don't even remember the name of a map. I remember watching Com and their team win all of the MLG events on every single map, just smashing people. But I don't remember map names specifically. That was a game that I watched more than I played.
Yeah.
Was Calypso Casino actually the one that they showed in a lot of the advertisements for the game?
Yeah, and it's the one with
Zip lining down there.
the zip lines from the rooftops and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know which one that is specifically. Uh, and then you have
Kill House would have
Checkout.
been a good one too, actually. Forgot about Kill House.
You had Deadly Pass and Checkout.
Yep.
So, Deadly
Pass is
Pass.
probably one of the best vehicle maps of any of the ones we're going to talk about.
Bridge Too Far?
For some reason, see, you just ruined one of our top 10.
I've already talked
You're as
about
bad
that.
as I am. But yeah, like
Really?
Deadly Pass, like Backstab was kind of its equivalent, which got more press, I think. I think it's accurate to say
Yeah.
like Backstab got more press and for some reason was played more, but Deadly Pass was the better map by far for me. The combat inside like the ruins area was just always awesome. Let's see if I can pull up the map.
Of Deadly Pass.
Yeah.
It's a good map. I actually went back and looked at all of the maps. There's a lot of good ones on Battlefield 2 Modern Combat. Cold Front was good. Frostbite was good. Deadly Pass. Backstab. What is the name of that one map? The one I didn't like, my least favorite, was Black Gold. You remember that map?
That was the worst.
Oh my god, I hated that map. Oh, it was so sickening. Ugh. Hated that map. There was like this hut town, like you were in the rice hills of China.
That was Honor.
Honor, yeah. That even sounds like I was right, yeah. The rice hills rather of China. Honor. Yeah. That was a pretty good map
So
too.
this was Backstab. And the starting base is here, and then there was this base like off in the middle of fucking nowhere that was just a like bomb shelter type setup. And it was always 1v1s. Like you would just drive a car up there to see if anyone was there, then you cap it by yourself because no one was still defending it.
Right.
And like there's this base is just out in the open. It's like a little crater in the floor, and then tanks would always like come up and swarm around it. But you could sit in all these little nooks and bushes so that the tank had to kind of hunt you out before they could kill you and take it.
Right.
And then here were the ruins. The ruins were the shit. Shoddy battles all day. And then this one was it's like it's in the middle of a courtyard, and there's buildings on the sides that all look down to it. So like you had to control the buildings in order to keep people from capping on the point. So if anyone was in the building, you started capping, then they just pop out of their hiding spot and shoot at you. So you had to go clear the buildings first. And then this one was like this really weird jackknife where tanks would come in, but there was an archway entrance which you could mine and keep the tank from getting there. So I mean, like, there's such a big variation between the points. I think is what was the best differentiation. It's really cool. Shit. And okay.
I have a video on my YouTube channel from me and Carrington beasting on people in Modern Combat. I need to find it.
I swear, man, it was so hard finding video for Modern Combat stuff. And it's just such a shame. Because I really wish we had video of how good that game was.
That was like one of my first uploads. Let's see if I can organize this.
Do you want to transition to top 10?
Yeah. I'm ready. Oh wait, let me make sure we got through all the honorable mentions. Did we? Checkout. You got Checkout on there.
Yeah, it was a good map.
That's all you got to say about that. It was the one Jim Brown just laid out. Didn't have to change it. That's how good it was. Honorable
It
mention.
had its flaws, but it was probably the best running gun map from the Gears franchise.
Best run and gun map. Hold on, let me think about that for a second. Okay, I think I'd agree with you.
Cool.
Although, man, Slab is Slab is close. Slab is close.
Slab is pretty much Checkout 2.0.
It is. It kind of feels like it. I mean, you can run around like crazy on Slab.
All right, let's start top 10. Which coincidentally starts with Gears. So another caveat: we did not.
This is not ordered.
This is not ordered. Quite frankly, it'd be impossible to order these because then the quality of the game kind of gets in the way, in my opinion. So this is top 10 maps in no particular order across mostly Xbox 360, realistically. So,
And can I also say something about Gears in general? I didn't have a lot of Gears in particular on mine, mostly because, and I think a lot of people forget this, because of right-hand advantage, there's always a side advantage. And I understand that, for some people it didn't matter, obviously better team, more communication, but with the side advantage there was also times to spawn or power weapons from spawn that weren't even. And so it was a combination of map design or how they had the spawning that made a lot of maps not as good as they could have been for Gears of War. So a lot of the ones that a lot of people hold near and dear, I don't have in my top. I don't know. I don't really have them in top 10 maps of any kind. There's a couple that I have, but most of them, for the most part, I don't consider to be great maps because map balance usually dictated that one side got something a little bit better, or it was easier, or there was a glitch you could do, or whatever that threw off that map completely for me. So just something I wanted to mention with Gears because I saw a lot of Gears stuff.
If only there was a game type that would
let you have
action, not let you camp right hand all the time.
Ah.
If only. All right.
Yeah.
So, first one on the list. I'm gonna carefully slide this down so I don't show the rest. War Machine. I got some video. So, if you want to talk about War Machine, this was on your list too, right? It wasn't just mine.
Yeah. So, War Machine was our map. That was the Team VBI map, and there was multiple reasons I think we started to gravitate towards it, but mostly because of our play style. It was one of the few maps where crossing kind of started to become a thing. Like we started to notice like there's all these crazy angles based off of how they had the middle section, the dividers, mid boxes, the sandbags, just the types of angles that you could get on people. And the strategies that we started running there were like I remember our base strat was like I was set up on the little mid area overlooking snipe. I think Phobos might be down on my left, and you and Carrington were out towards
mid box and grenades.
Grenades. So I mean that was like our base setup, and then we started mixing in other stuff here and there.
Cool is it developed over time too. So like early Gears days, no one went across the top. Like, no one took the long flank. Because if you went up there, then people would be like, oh, someone's up there, and then you push 4v3 and win before they could even do anything.
Yep.
And then, like, teams learned how to delay the push down bot so that the guy up top could actually get his crosses. And, like, it just changed over and over. Then eventually people started actually using the Troika for a little while. So, I mean, like, it just kept changing. And the way people played Sniper kept changing. The way that people kept playing mid-boxes changed.
Yeah.
The way people used the nades changed. People started doing 4 pushes across. So, I mean, like, it changed a ton over the course of, like, a year and a half, 2 years. And I think that says a lot about the amount of depth and quality in the way the angles were set up.
Yeah.
Whether intentionally or not, it just all came together really well.
I think it was an accident, to be honest. I think that was an accident because a lot of other maps I don't feel like offered the same versatility for Gears 1. Like, think about the options that you kind of had with Gridlock. Pushing snipe, sometimes pushing boom, sometimes you'd see a middle flank, but more than often than not, like you see the same strategies that developed and stayed throughout the course of the entirety of that game being on
the majority of
the MLG Pro
Gears
2.
1 maps, really. Like, Mansion's the same way.
Mansion was the same way. Like, there was a little bit of, in the beginning, let's go inside and outside, and then people were like, wait, boom shot's outside, fuck the inside, we're going to go outside, and then
like,
you
it's
just
all variations
saw...
of how you play it, but really you're doing the same thing every single round.
Right. So War Machine, just hands down, one of the most versatile maps in terms of what you could do for, I think, almost every single team out there, not just us. I mean, we had to react differently to a bunch of different teams because there were so many different strategies that you could do. You couldn't just be like, okay, we're going to run this because we know that the other team is going to do this, whereas, you would get that a lot on some of the other maps. So War Machine, hands down, one of the best.
Two of my all-time favorite memories of playing Gears. One was Carrington 1v4 doing circles around the mid-box to hide to hide as the enemy scoured the map, and actually drawing out a round for us by just doing circles around the box. And then two was fucking Scar up on the Troika mowing down his whole entire team.
His entire team.
His whole entire team. And when you were watching the footage, you're like, I can see how he would have done that without intentionally doing it. You know what I mean?
Do you realize that during that whole incident, the commentator was actually like, "Oh my God,
It was being silly. Yeah.
Oh God, he's going him.
He's
and then
killing
he was
everyone."
Like,
and then
oh my God, he's just killing everyone.
Like, yeah, his whole team. Oh.
Oh. Oh man, great memories.
Yeah. So those are my two favorite memories for the map by far. And it's just funny because every time I think about Gears 1, those are two things I remember pretty distinctly.
Oh,
I don't know if there's video anywhere.
Great.
I'm sure there's video somewhere around. You have to dig to find it. All right. So the next one we have is another Gears map. And the last
Gears
map,
of War.
I grouped the similar games. So this one's probably a bit controversial.
Why? It's the same thing as War Machine, at least from our end.
Oh wow, the video changed right on time. How did that happen? Hold on, let me just switch over. Bam. So yeah, I think that Old Town might be the best Gears map ever made. Despite its flaw. Single flaw. Which is the fact that it's asymmetrical. Thoughts?
Best map of all time?
For Gears.
For Gears. All time though, Colin?
It's really well made. I think it has the best angles of any map, easily.
It's really good. I had it on my list as one of the top maps. All time though? There was a lot of versatility and strats that you could do.
Visually, it's probably the best.
I think the one thing that ruined that map, and this is more Epic's fault than anything else, was the rotating swaps. But that's not a map design flaw per se. That's more of them saying this is how we're going to do it for this game. So I think the one thing I dislike about that map and what could have made it better is if it was on one plane versus the slight height advantage at the top of the map. That was my thing that I didn't quite like.
I feel like there's also an objective that made you push top. It would have also helped.
Yeah.
The execution, really, that was.
Yeah, that's more of an execution issue. I think the other thing that maybe could have made it better was some of the sandbag angles. And I think you know what I'm talking about. Like on top sandbag, looking at sniper versus bottom sandbag looking up.
Yeah, that top
because
wall
you had
like
a nook that you could sit in and then roll down. So there was like little minor things that I don't know if I could propel that as the number one. But I mean, it was damn good for sure. Damn good. It's worthy of top 10.
I also think the 3-lane thing is probably the best structure for any Gears. As a Gears formula, I think the 3-lane thing works really, really well. Which is why another map that I almost had on both of my lists was shit, help me out. What's the name of the map? DLC. Memorial.
Memorial?
Is that what I'm thinking of?
No. You could. I mean, Memorial was good.
What's the other one? Shit. Is the one with the statues. Not All Fathers, though. You know
All Fathers?
About, right? Whatever.
I think so.
We can move on. I feel bad for not being able to name the map.
Canals is not better than that. I hate people putting
really
Canals. I'm just not even going to go there with Canals.
I wasn't talking Old Bones, but Old Bones also fits the mold. Yeah.
Canals is just one of the maps that people... It's one of those nostalgia things. Map design for that is not very good.
Clock Tower is really similar, too. Like, Clock Tower is... He was good. But
Sanctuary.
That
was good.
Thank you, Johnny Nasher. That's what I was looking for.
Thank you, Johnny Nasher. That is the map right there. Sanctuary. It was a great map. That whole DLC for Gears 2, some of the best maps that they put out in the DLC that I've seen.
No one played them.
I know, no one played them. Like some of those maps are really good, and no one played them.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
All right, moving down the list, we got the pit from Halo 3. Which
I
again,
don't think there's any
some
question.
people don't like for some reason. I've never really understood. Maybe because it's the interesting thing about the pit is it plays differently than any other Halo map. You know what I mean? Like it's the one map where even in an MLG tournament, the gameplay slows down a bit and it gets more tactical. You know?
Yeah.
Like it's a really tactical map in general in terms of when you push and where you push and the pushes in order to make the pushes you make for the power weapons. And I think it's probably like it's the map from Halo 3 to me.
The map. Some other people are going to say like Narrows or Guardian, and I do kind of like Narrows.
Good. Guardian was on both of our lists.
But Guardian is a remake, if I'm not mistaken.
It's
like
inspired by Lockout.
Whatever.
So I wouldn't call it a remake.
It's a remake.
But it's essentially the same, yeah. Like the way it's laid out.
So, I mean, I really do like the pit. I mean, that was one of my top. And I just don't see how anyone could not like it. But then again, I mean, there's probably some of the, guys listening to some of the pros that might not like the map. To be honest, I don't remember too many guys like, this map is absolute shit.
I think some people, it's just like, you play that map, and it slows everything down and gets more tactical. And if you have to do that in scrims every night, I can see how it would get frustrating.
Yeah.
But, that said, it was probably the best Halo. I'd say it's definitively the best Halo 3 map to me.
Down that list, let's see. Oh, yeah, Colin. I'm looking at what's next. I'm gonna just go ahead and say this.
Dang.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the pit anymore.
That's fair. All right.
I want to go ahead and go to the.
Let me say, it's about to get ugly on the video front.
It's gonna get ugly on the video front, but I shit you not, this was probably my favorite map of all time, personally.
Really, favorite of all time.
For current gen. Not because if we go back, I'm gonna say a bunch of Unreal stuff.
It's funny because the guy's video says my favorite map, full frontal.
Full frontal, Battlefield 2 Modern Combat, and here's the reason why. There was a bunch of teams, TGB, LGD, all these teams, right? We couldn't touch them in vehicles. You put us on full frontal, we would beat the shit out of all of those teams. They just did not have the same gun skill across the board as our team, and we would wreck people on this map. And it just turned out to be one of the best and most memorable maps that I have from Battlefield 2 Modern Combat because of that atmosphere. Like, you knew going into the match, you might have lost a match because of vehicles, because of choppers, you couldn't handle the chops, but as soon as you got on full frontal, we were all like, yeah, this is what's up. We would beat the shit out of people on that map. Yeah. Like, some of the best players in the game wiped the floor with them. It was awesome.
The vehicles were relevant. Like, the tanks were really relevant in general. But, like, the lanes between the bases were just so fun. So fun. And it was just run and gun, essentially. And this video is really dark and shitty. It was really hard to find footage from this map, which is really funny because it seemed like everyone played it a lot.
It was a popular map.
Sitting there camping people outside the walled city spawn.
It was like the map that I'm going to mention here in a little bit. Well, I didn't even mention Operation Metro. That didn't carry over from my honorable mentions? No, I had that in my top, my personal top.
See, you just spoiled another one.
I'm sorry. I thought it was honorable mentions. I'm sorry. But that was like the basically Metro or Locker of that game because there was just not that many vehicles there. So it was sweet.
I got to play out up. Just for those that are having trouble visualizing from that awesome video. So, I mean, it was interesting because they had these walled cities as the bases. So it was like installations, essentially. And there's only one way out here and then another way out here. And other than that, like, you could jump over the wall in a few places. But those are the two main ways out of the base. So once you got everything on lockdown, you got to just camp the shit out of them. Essentially, right? Like, that was your reward for winning the game.
But it started off, like really even. Like, you have this fight in the middle, push,
because
and then
this is basically a freebie, and then this is a freebie, and then you have this crazy stuff where you're just running across this riverbed, and it's like a dried up riverbed, and you're just running across repeatedly down these lanes here and here and here, and then over here is like a flank route, and then there was an artillery strike over here in this building, I believe. So if you control like this area, then you can do an artillery strike to help take B. So I mean, like, the way it played out was really fun to me, and it was a good mix because your tanks would be able to go down these main roads and wreck shit.
Man, that map was awesome. So much fun.
And that video makes it look super dark, unfortunately, but it wasn't really that dark.
Man,
I don't know how this dude even plays like that.
I played so many matches on Battlefield 2. Oh God, I'm like having an orgasm over here. It's just so good. Ah.
And let's go right into the next one because it's also Battlefield 2.
Oh yeah. Bridge too far.
Bridge too far.
I gave my story on this on YouTube, so Colin, you can just kind of tell why you enjoyed it.
Oh, hold on. My video just got out of order. Alright, we're good. Yeah, Bridge Too Far was unique because it's the kind of map that I generally wouldn't like. It's really vehicle heavy when you're playing in Conquest. There's a chopper, there's tanks, but for some reason those don't impact the game that much. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's ways around it, and the fights that you have out in the open are just so fucking fun, and the way the bases are set up. So it's, again, your bases are like big military compounds, and then there's this main central bridge, which I think this dude's actually gonna drive over.
Do you remember Bad Boy on the bridge, strapping C4 on the bridge?
That's what this dude does.
Blowing?
That's what dude does in the video. He strapped the C4 to his car, and now he's gonna book it straight across. And even this middle site, like, there's so much cover. Yep. Boom, he killed himself. But yeah, so I mean, like, even the battles on the middle of the bridge, which was always the opening, right? There was always like 4 or 5 people that went to the mid-bridge, and it was a 5v5, essentially, with the tanks and the C4 cars. And there's sparse cover, so you're in there just holding on for dear life as the tank shells are coming in. But once you got control of that bridge, it let you drop down off the bridge in order to go to assault the side bases. And when you're assaulting the side bases, it was always crazy because if you had the bridge, it was pretty easy to kind of take the other side. But if you didn't have the bridge, then you had to go through these crates on the other side as your cover in order to get from base to base. And the crates were basically just 1v1s all day. Like, it was like one or two people would run there over and over and over.
Is Wraith watching today? I don't think
know.
he's watching. All right, so do you remember this, Colin? This is when you guys were being recruited. And it was you two in the game.
Talking about your snipe.
I jumped off the bridge, that middle bridge, and I believe Sean was shooting me in the back behind me. So I did a 180 in the air as I was falling and headshot sniped him as I was falling from the bridge to the ground, and he was just silent.
I was in chat with him, and he's like, "Oh, he just." And then he's like, "He just fucking sniped me while he was falling."
I was doing the MLG, but the thing is, I wasn't even going for that. Like, I was just gonna parachute down, not take any damage, and so he started shooting at me, and I was like, "Get off me!" Sniped him. It was sick.
Man, this map was just, I don't know, there's so many good memories on this map, but just holding shit down. Because defending a base in this map was hard. Like, just to be able to hold off, because the bases were, as you can see, there's not much cover from base to base. Like, there's these little trees that don't really give any cover at all. Then there's a few crates out there. But if you were good, you'd just walk out there, knowing that if anyone showed up, you could outshoot them. You know what I mean? You just walk. And the moment anyone came, you drop shot them. You drop shot, you drop shot, and you kill like 3 people on the way to the base. It's just always so much fun. Some of my best memories are playing on this map.
Yeah.
From Battlefield.
I just brought up one of mine. That's locked in the vault. That's like a 7-year-old memory, locked in the vault, sniping Sean as I jump off of the bridge.
Before we got Battlefield, my favorite memory was on what was the map with the submarine bay? Do you remember? Was it Mission? I think it was called.
That sounds right.
I think that's right. But there's a submarine bay, but essentially the map was like one island and then there's a giant island. So like one team would drive from the small island to the big island, and that's where all the hills were. So I fired a rocket launcher at this plane that was flying, this helicopter that was carrying, it was like a transport copter. It was just like flying back to base to go pick people up. That rocket flew for 12 fucking seconds. 12 seconds from where I was on the opposite side of the island, all the way to like out in the middle of the ocean, and it hit this helicopter that was flying across. And I watched it the whole way. And as it got closer and closer, it's like, is that gonna hit? I think that's gonna hit. Oh my god, it's gonna hit! And then it hit, and it was like, yeah! And of course, like, that's not homing or anything. That was just, I looked at it. I was like, it'll be about here. And I just aimed it, and fired it. By far, that's my favorite memory of playing Battlefield. Yeah, the maps in that game were good. I probably could have listed like 6 or 7 maps, easy.
Yeah, we have. I think we have 6 maps total listed.
Well, we had
or
Little
maybe
Big Eye.
5. Hey.
Which we didn't talk about.
Hey.
Huh? No, that was in your honorable mentions.
You sure about that?
I think so.
Hey, I don't know. I can't pull it up from the original doc.
Well,
that's okay. That's okay.
It's on there.
That's fine.
Good stuff.
All right.
This next one's probably.
I'm gonna because.
You want to hear me justify it?
Yeah, please.
All right, hold on.
This is a game that not a lot of people have played.
I'd wager that less than 5 people who watch this show, both here and on YouTube, have played it in multiplayer.
Less than 5.
Less than 5.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Like beyond the beta or beyond the demo, which was free to play. I'd wager less than 5 people played it. Here's why I made my list. Prey had the most interesting level design mechanic of any game I've played. In the sense that you could walk on the walls. So as you can see in this room, those little ramps that you can go up on, you can walk on them, and then the camera kind of flips and you're stuck to the wall. At any point you can jump off, so those ledges he was next to, he could jump off back onto the bridge, and so on and so forth. So it led to a lot of really interesting combat scenarios, as this dude's just being dumb. Oh, he's gone. Okay. So yeah, it led to some really interesting combat scenarios, because there's rooms which were more than they appear to be, So for this room, for example, is probably the best example of that, because there's these walls kind of crawling all up in the room, and then there's teleporters coming out of the ceiling, right? So you can go through what's not a teleporter, but a what's it called when you can actually shoot through? Yeah, those. Thank you, video game guy playing. So I mean, like, you can shoot through, but you can also see through, so you don't have to walk through. You can just shoot the shots through the wall.
It's like a portal.
Yeah, Portal. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. And this came out before Portal, by the way. So they had the Portal tech before Portal did. And you can actually even make a gun that just fired portals, and it worked in multiplayer. So, I mean, the combination of that plus the wall walking, it just made it so this map was incredibly smart, I think is the best way to word it. And it was good for 1v1, good for 2v2. I left it on the list because I feel like it might be the best example of level design. And kind of leveraging the way the game was set up. Maybe of any of the games that are on our list.
Okay, that's fair. The only reason I have a hard time swallowing Prey is because I'm like the snobby UT guy. It's like, this is like, I don't know. And you and Sean played it, but Phobos and Trix were the guys that you played against the most. And I was just like, I played, but not a whole lot. So.
Yeah.
I can remember the maps, but you're the one that had the time with it. All right, so is that all you have to say about?
That's all I got. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So next map we have up is Call of Duty 4 Crash. I think we both had this one listed. I was looking at the comments over on YouTube, and Crash was by and far probably one of the most popular Call of Duty 4 maps, if not the most popular Call of Duty map ever, in terms of just perception. It's just one of those maps, I think, that you played it and you just got addicted to Call of Duty. You know what I mean? It just had that kind of feel about it. And I remember when they had the beta, I think Crash was one of the maps that they had, and you were just playing, you were like, man, this map is really good. So I mean, there's not really much more to say, I think, because there's so many people that know Crash. Like, if I say Crash, Call of Duty 4, I think most people can just picture the map, picture how you played on it, why you liked it. Just so good. Such a good map.
Yeah, I mean, it was very well varied. You know what I mean? Like, the areas were really different and worked in almost every game mode, I believe. I think MLG had like 3 different modes for their
Yeah.
map set for a while.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was, again, just I think it's by far one of the most rounded Call of Duty maps. And unfortunately, there's not a lot more to say. It just, there wasn't really many issues with it, you know? All
Yeah,
I
I
can
mean,
remember is there's some spawn trap issues on high side. But
if you got people trapped in, yeah.
But I mean, that's Call of Duty, you know. That's really any game. If you post up and let them spawn somewhere. Cool.
All right, next map. This is going to be all you again. DM Diesel, UT3. I just feel like I feel like I can give you Sentinel because I can remember Sentinel. Diesel, not so much. I can't
You don't
believe you
remember
listed
Diesel?
that. I remember it. I just can't believe that you listed that one. And I just feel like at that point you were like, man, I need some more Unreal in my life because you couldn't list Quake, so you had to put Diesel.
That is true. I couldn't list Quake. Yeah.
So I feel like
that could be it. You might be right. It could just be that I couldn't list Quake, so I listed some Quake-like maps.
Yeah.
Shit was fun though.
It was a good map. Top 10 for me, no, but it was definitely good.
It's so good though.
Personally, your honorable mention, Sentinel. I think Sentinel is a better map than Diesel.
You think so?
I mean, the reason I like Sentinel more is because I watched the matches that you guys were playing on Sentinel, and whenever they got to Diesel, I don't feel like, I don't know, they just weren't as intense.
I think you mostly watched probably 1v1s.
I watched 1v1s against
and
you
this
and
map was a bit bigger than Sentinel.
What is the guy's name that played Firefall?
It's probably Tilter.
Tilter. I watched you and Tilter play 1v1s on Sentinel. Those were fucking awesome matches.
This map just had some really awesome like snipe battles in general. Like just cross map, there's lots of cool little gaps and stuff which you can pre-fire rockets into. All those little portholes right there. And then on this side there's pillars. I don't know, I feel like this was the best map as far as kind of rotating around. It probably does stem, the fact it's on my list is probably quite a bit due to
you couldn't list Quake. That was your Quake.
Well, not just that, but there's a lack of arena games in general in the past console generation.
True. That is very true.
Where map control and pickups are the name of the game, you know? And this was a good map as far as being forced to rotate around to pick up everything and keep moving.
At the same time, Halo is what our equivalent of those games would be for people that don't play the same pace.
Console version of Arena, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's fair. I'd say this probably was at the end of my top 10, but it made it in just barely.
I had to pull up the list so I could see which ones I was missing from my top 10 no order. Okay. I see it.
Perfect Dark?
Perfect Dark 0. So you can list yours and then, because I know you have the video, and then I'll list mine.
You said it was on yours.
Subway?
Yeah, you said it was,
I said
it was close.
I was going to put it in honorable mentions, but not in my top 10, because I had the other map that I'm going to say here in a second.
Yeah, so PDZ was interesting because, and it's interesting to think of now because this was a launch game, right? So this was the Xbox 360's version of Battlefield.
Yeah.
Of Battlefield 4.
I basically PDZ's
more correctly,
concept,
it'd be a version of Killzone.
Battlefield's core concept of taking big maps and then having iterative sizes. I feel like PDZ might be the first guys that did this. If anyone can name a game, because I don't actually know the trivia on this, where they have
shrunk down into smaller
big maps shrunk down to small maps dating pre-2005. Can you guys link that either on YouTube or in the chat? Because I'd be very interested to see who it is, because I actually think PDZ is the original guys that were doing this, but well before DICE or Battlefield or any of those guys doing it. So, I mean, that was way ahead of their time. On top of that, Colin, they had no latency. I don't remember a laggy game on PDZ. Not
PDZ was
one.
awesome, like as far as latency goes. And this guy in this video isn't doing it justice. I'm sorry. He's just walking around super slow and shit. The
Got to
movement
be
speeds are pretty slow
rolling.
though, but yeah, he's just not doing it justice. But as far as the map goes, and I think a hallmark of PDZ was really clean map design in terms of not having lots of shit in the way. Probably because they couldn't afford to actually render it all, so they just
Could be.
they just didn't want a lot of stuff on the maps. I'm sure that was a partial reason for why. But when this came out, it looked like, ooh, you know what I mean? It was
Yeah,
just
now
like
you look at it and
graphically,
you're like,
oh, this looks so awful in terms of graphics. And the gameplay looks bad too, but it doesn't look, it hasn't aged well, I guess is the best way to put it. And again, this guy doesn't do it justice, I don't think. But yeah, as far as the map went, like, and I think it's funny because I think several maps we've talked about have had this where it's like there's an elevated thing that goes across the map, which is like the top walkway, and then you have a stretched out version of the rest of the map. Like, it's funny because looking at this now and thinking about it, it's essentially War Machine.
it is.
Even down to the train tracks and the way the map is split up, with it being straight down. There's gaps in it here and there. There was a big pickup at the end of the wall, at the end of the walkway. But they also included a interior area behind the player here where the spawns were, and then there's some tunnels to get to the top area.
It is crazy, actually, to think about how much that map actually is like. Oh my
It's
god!
not just like War Machine. It
It's
played just
pretty
like War Machine
damn-
too. Like the
That
way
map
you
is
split
pretty
up,
damn close to War Machine. You've just blown my mind.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
like and,
Holy shit!
and the way you split up through it was also War
Yo,
Machine.
that's two maps. That's two maps, dude. That's two
That's
maps.
two maps.
We're calling them out at the end of the show. We're calling them the fuck out. That is two maps.
We can dedicate a small part to showing the map layouts of.
Please do that, because
Video.
everyone on YouTube must see this. Call them the fuck out.
Yeah, like this area, as you can see, it looks just like it. It's awesome though. Like, again, this map played awesome in this game with completely different mechanics than Gears. You know.
Yeah. Holy shit.
But yeah, this was my favorite map from playing PDZ. But really, there's like this, and then I had Old Town in the honorable mentions. That was another one that was really good, in my opinion.
I actually had
Similar
a
layout
different
again. Like, it's one alley, but it's on the lower side. It's similar, I guess, more to Clock Tower.
clock
If you
tower.
want to look at it, drawing
Yeah.
one-to-one comparisons again.
My top 10 for PDZ was actually urban.
Yeah.
Colin didn't particularly feel like that did it justice, but I felt like you had to fight over
Urban was good.
positioning.
I mean, I'd say Urban would be my number 3, and then Desert was the 4th one.
Yeah.
Which was pretty good. But Desert, the spawn sucks, so I didn't consider it.
Urban was two bases that were across from each other. There was a highway, or parking lot, I should say, on the left side. Was it one on the right side, too? I just remember that street on the right side. I'm thinking of it.
The other side was a street. Yeah, you couldn't go in the building, I don't think.
Okay, so there was a street on the far side. People would use that to typically flank, and you could shoot into the buildings. And on that left side, with the parking lot, people would always go up on the left side and shoot into the windows at either side of the bases. So that became an extra position that people would fight over for positional control over the map, because you could see inside the windows. And you didn't have that same level of line of sight, I should say, for any other position on the map. So it made it really cool and interesting to me. Man, I'm trying to remember that map bigger. I remember you go behind the bases and that area was open.
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, you can go inside this side. I've got the picture up on stream. So this was a base, this was a base. There were these streets that were basically completely open. There was no cover at all. Then you had a gazebo thing in the middle. And then this was the parking lot with the curved walkway that goes up into it. And then it had an extra tier where you can get up on the top level. And then I can't remember the structure of this at all. Oh, it was alleyways. And then there was an interior where it was like a shop. It was like a jewelry shop.
KO Dave, we actually mentioned Calypso Casino honorable mentions for Rainbow. Yes, so it was mentioned.
Yep. Alright. There we go. And I think I have one more in mind, right? Yeah. Nowhere from Ghost Recon. Again, like, I was kind of thinking about my list, and this is an example of, in my opinion, the best map design from Ghost Recon. I might have included Boneyard as my preferred map, but it wasn't anything about that which actually played well off Ghost Recon's gameplay. You know what I mean? It was running gun, essentially, for Boneyard. But this map in particular was interesting because I played lots of Last Man Standing when I played Ghost Recon. It's actually pretty much all we played when I was in ROC, which was my very first clan on Xbox 360. So we played lots of Last Man Standing. So you get one
Hour-long matches.
It was really long matches. But that's the thing. This map was never really that long compared to the other ones because you couldn't camp as well.
That's true.
Because they have it's this big hill, and again, it's interesting to me because asymmetric maps, when they play well, they're really fun to me. But a lot of games don't do it well, like Escalation and Gears, for example. Just to throw a jab out there for no fucking reason. But on this one, like, you started at the top of the hill, the other team started at the bottom of the hill, and somehow it was balanced. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because they had these this like car graveyard junkyard type thing over here where you can kind of move up this side, and you can get posted up inside the building and along the side of the map without an advantage. Like, eventually you get to a point where the team at the top of the hill had to run past this giant open field in order to get to you. But if you were on the top of the hill, then of course they had to run up there. But there's like this cave structure on the right-hand side, which is completely close-quarter combat, and you can use it to flank everything. So like usually the cave area was 1v1s and 2v2s. And it was really cool because whoever won that kind of took control of the map, and then they got to flesh out the team. And you worked picks because you get one area, then you had vision of like the primary spot to cover the hill.
Yep.
And then when you get the pick off that guy, you make him move. And it was always the most nerve-wracking thing because you see your guy go down in caves, and it's like, oh shit, now they're gonna be moving for me. I gotta get the fuck out. But there's this guy at the bottom of the hill watching me, so I can't really move. So, like, do I just try to counter-pick him, you know? And then you sit there and try and sit in cover and wiggle your way. So it was always just really interesting fights. And then in the objective modes where it was kind of faster-paced, it played really fast. For whatever reason, like, it was running gun through the cars and through the caves. So, again, it was probably the most interesting map. And, again, you had 1v1s at the house here. So it just spread everyone out really well, and then every battle that you won was really instrumental to winning the round. Which I think is the hallmark of a good single life map.
I really liked it. I really liked Nowhere. My Grawl map, I actually have mine in the top 10. I didn't include Nowhere. I probably would have had that in honorable mention, but I already saw that you were going to talk about it in the top 10. Mine was actually Rocky Cove. And we're going to have more on Rocky Cove here in a bit. But I ended up liking that map because all of the little rocks actually served as like cover points. So it made it easy to kind of move around the map. And Phobos and I would tear people up on that map because, you know, we practiced him for the 2v2s. And so...
It's an awful format for Ghost Recon.
Yeah, it was really bad. But I just felt like the flow of that map was... And the visually, that was one of the other things that really captured my attention for Rocky Cove versus any of the other ones. That map visually was one of the best I had seen up to that point on the Xbox 360. So I think that kind of added to why I have that. It was like, oh man, this map looks gorgeous. And then we started playing it, and you would find different ways of kind of maneuvering around the map. I think the only thing that ruined it for me is because some of the lanes were so tight. Like on Nowhere, you had these big open like spaces. But because the lanes were tight, you would get those grenade launcher people that would just poof, 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 poof. And then you would get hit because you were in a small corridor. You couldn't do anything, and you just die. So that happened a little too frequent there. There was one other map that was just like that, except it had that desert look. And I think there was an overpass, or like a train track on the top.
Desert Gulch.
Desert Gulch, yeah. So
I didn't include it because it was super campy when we played it.
Yeah.
So I mean, behind rocks, and then they were forced to come through these small gaps.
It made the map flow on that. It choked it up because it was so small. Whereas Rocky Cove, because it was a little bit more open, you could do more. That was my only critique on that map. Is weapon selection kind of muddled it a little bit.
Hold on, I'm trying to find my tweet, man.
You looking for the? You want to share everyone?
Yeah.
All right. While you're doing that, I'm gonna talk about my last one because we blasted through
pull off this
the top
and
10.
remove the privacy slide.
So a couple that we omitted. I have Tujane from Call of Duty 2. I think it was like Tujane Tunisia, something like that. Tunisia. Um, I loved that map because of the I don't know. There was a lot of different ways you could move around the map. That was evident, I think, in a lot of Call of Duty 2 maps in particular. You had different levels. It was always usually two-story, but you could get on top of the buildings there on Tujane, some of the buildings, and if you were good, you could pick people off a lot as they were. They do their little poke up after they've gone prone. They poke up, boom, you get them down, you move up, and then you take that position. And I actually won a free-for-all tournament on that particular map. It was the last map I had to play out of this rotation, and I got flown out to Treyarch when they were working on the turd that was Call of Duty 3. Do you remember that, Colin?
Yeah, it was World of War, right? Or no, it was
World
COD
of
3.
War.
Yeah, right. Yeah, World of War.
No, yeah, it wasn't World of War. It was COD 3.
Yeah.
And I just vividly remember that map because it was my favorite one. It was like, okay, I got this on lock because we're at Tujane. I don't know, just something about the map flow, gun engagements. The sniper didn't feel too bad on that map versus some of the other ones on Call of Duty 2, just based off of how they kind of laid everything out. If you notice in that map, there's always like this dichotomy between high-low with trenches, right? And that was like one of the only maps that didn't have that. There was like 3 or 4 maps that are like that on Call of Duty 2. You have like this high, I won't even call it high ground. You just have a certain level, and then you have like a trench, and the way you would navigate the map is going through the trenches so you wouldn't get sniped out in the open. So I wonder if that was like an element of the gameplay they considered, because everything was like the car and the snipers and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's one of the things I liked about that map.
So talking about Rocky Cove, had this realization the other day. So here's the layout for Rocky Cove that those that didn't play Ghost Recon or don't remember it.
Oh my God! Wait till you guys see this on YouTube.
You'd spawn
God.
here and here, and then there's like these just kind of tunnels. It's just basically rocks over here, and you just run across. And then this is like the upper level, and then from here you run up into this, which is like the big elevated area in the middle, which is kind of like overlooking everything. Big water here, and then this is just like it's a shallows where you run across, and then there's a rock in the middle that's cover. So here's Sandbar and Gears.
That is fucking identical. Guys.
I'm kind of curious if it was like if it was a nod to it, or maybe someone at the team worked on both.
Can you flip between both of them, please?
Sandbar.
Can you just go back and forth just between them? Just boop, 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 boop. Just so people can just see how similar these two maps are. We're looking at the same map.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Rocky Cove was always a pretty good map too. But it is funny because it's basically the same map. It couldn't have possibly not been inspired by the other one. You know what I mean?
It's literally impossible. That is just... Everything about that map says this is the same exact design.
Particularly funny when we just talked about Subway and War Machine.
Yeah. Holy crap. Every time I see that, I'm just blown away because it looks copy-pasted.
Yeah. And the other one you had on your list was Operation Metro.
Operation Metro? What? Colin, what are you going to say? What are you going to say?
There's one way up.
Yo, it's my full frontal of Battlefield 3.
You're fighting
Get off
inside.
me.
You have to run up a fucking
Get
ramp.
off me!
You run up the ramp, and then there's one wall between you and the other team, and that's it.
If you get past them, and you're like, if you get past them,
it doesn't matter.
Like,
there's
oh my,
one wall.
Colin, that beginning rush, you're like, oh. You get up in the area where all of the I want to say they're the detectors.
Yeah, it's the metal.
And then you have that firefight. You just boop 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 boop.
Lockers.
Whoever wins that, it's an uphill battle. There's just something about the intensity of that map that I just love. It feels like full frontal to me. There was another map where
I'd
I didn't
wager
play
that
the whole...
Topside has like a 75% win rate. Maybe 80%.
Probably, Colin, probably. But here's the thing: if, and this is where it came into effect for us, just like Full Frontal, we came into Battlefield 3 late, so the only thing we could rely on was gun skills for the first month. You tell me we were not pooping on people that had been playing that for months every time we got to Operation Metro.
Yeah,
because
it was the only map in the game which was heavy infantry. I'd argue that if there was another map that was heavy infantry, it would have been fun.
If your gun skills sucked, regardless of the map design, this was the map that was like, I'm gonna whoop your ass because you can't outslay me. Like, you just can't do it. I love that. This is why it included this map, because that was the only map on Battlefield 3 out of the box that gave me that same feeling. It's a good map, man. It was a shit.
It's really bad. It's really poor map design, though.
That's why it's getting brought back for Battlefield 4, because it was the shit.
I feel like if they had a way up into the lockers, then it would have been fine.
They could have. They needed to change. They need to change some of the routes there.
Like there should be a way up into the lockers, in some way. Just so people can't just post up, because that middle staircase that pops up right in the middle of the fucking room, not viable at all. Yeah, I say that's the most questionable of your choices, by far. That said, it probably was the best map in Battlefield 3.
If you couldn't shoot, Colin,
I just like Battlefield 3 had some pretty shitty maps to me, because it's all vehicle focus.
Oh, well, they're going for that grand scale thing, so yeah, definitely. And then they introduced domination, which made it a lot better. But yeah.
So, that's our list. I think it's a damn good list.
That is a pretty damn good list. There was no stone unturned there. We had a lot of people on YouTube mentioning like Halo 2, Xbox games, PlayStation games. Like, current generation is why we did not mention any of the old stuff.
I'm sure there's some PlayStation 3 stuff we missed, to be honest. But again, I didn't play it, and there really were only maybe 4 or 5 shooters on PlayStation 3 that I'd even consider like big enough following to be able to add to a list.
I wouldn't add anything from Resistance. We played that enough to know.
Resistance
there was
2.
one map. There was one map on Resistance 2, I should say, that stuck out to me, and it was a map where it had like a bunch of little pavilions sitting out in the middle. It was like a grassy area. I can't remember the name of that map. I liked that one, and that's about it. Uncharted 3 multiplayer had a couple maps that I really liked. But none of them were in the same vein, because like you were platforming on some of those. Like it didn't really feel like a shooter all the way. So
right.
I don't know. I mean, I think the only other game I feel like maybe we could have talked about was BioShock. Maybe?
Those maps weren't. They were all like super small.
Maybe? That's what I said, maybe?
I remember like the tunnels and doorways were too small to me.
So
you know what? I got one which I just thought of, which I didn't get in my list. And I can't remember the name of it. That Transformers map.
Which one?
Where it all met in like this middle room, and there's a kind of bridge thing across the middle.
I don't remember any of the names of the Transformer maps. Is it on the Amazing MLG channel?
Probably.
Could be.
It was. I think it was in their demo.
Some maps from Bad Company 1 and Bad Company 2 deserve to be on the list. Listen, we played the shit out of Bad Company 2, and like we competed in a tournament, KO Dave, and I can't name a map from there that was one that I would be like, yeah, I'm gonna champion this in. Not from Bad Company 1 or Bad Company 2. Bad Company 1 actually turned me off to playing Battlefield after coming from Modern Combat. So I can't say that I would champion any of those maps in.
It was the first Transformers. I think it was Cybertron, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna find it.
Favela from Modern Warfare 2 I liked. No canals. No canals. Sorry, guys. No canals. No Gears of War 2 maps. I think I had... No. In my honorable mention that I didn't get to put, I had security initially, but I took it off. Security felt like the only map that was pretty balanced both sides. but I don't know. But Gears of War 2 had some things that I just didn't like, mostly with the interactive stuff on the map design. I would list Avalanche, but I didn't like Avalanche until the avalanche occurred. so I can't add that one. There's so many like little caveats with I didn't particularly like. I actually liked the remade Jacinto on Gears 3. So I didn't like all of it, but most of that map I liked more than Jacinto on Gears 2. I'm trying to think. River was awful. Stasis was awful. Hail was awful. That's about it. And the other thing that I think Colin and I dislike with Gears is that that's one of the franchises that has some of like the most remade maps of any multiplayer game ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's sickening how many remakes they have. Why? Make something new, please. So, I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff there. Tyro Station. Oh, cool. Oh, no. Tyro Station. Pavilion.
I got that map up, by the way.
I like Pavilion, but no. It's not a top 10 for me. You have the Transformers map up?
Yeah. It still doesn't say the map name in there. It said Scout Gameplay. It's from the demo.
And that's Sean?
Yeah, Sean playing.
Sean turned it up? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I went through my list. I just went through every single game I played, so I think I got everything from my list. I did forget Transformers.
I forgot about Transformers. I didn't think about that. The overhead map for Clock Tower, Avalanche, River, no. I'm looking through. Gridlock, 3 versions of Gridlock, yeah. The remade version of Blood Drive, why? Oh, God. They make you hate maps even more, right? Like, Gridlock I liked, and then I didn't like, and then I hated it. By the time it was a 3rd remake, I was like, I hate this map.
You know, there's a couple maps in Blacklight, which I think might qualify. If you want to count PC stuff that came out during this time.
Nope, can't do it, because then my list would completely change. Can't do it.
So it's technically a next-gen title now.
You gotta stick to our guns. Alright, so I guess now we just pretty much talk about maps with the chat, and then we'll end the show. Let's end it at in 4 minutes. 4 minutes.
Is there any games we missed? Like,
is there any games that we missed? Yeah. There's a couple that I listed that I
feel like
I
I've
played.
played almost every game on Xbox 360 that had a community.
My Ghost Rant? My Ghost Rant was at the beginning of the show. Got good like Raven Down.
Splinter Cell had a few good maps.
Ooh.
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head if any of them were. It's the one with the mansion estate, I think it was called.
I liked Raven Down. I probably could have thrown Raven Down in my honorable mentions. I'll say that.
I'm not a fan. Yeah.
What about the big Raven Down? Day 1.
It's awful. Gold
But
Rush.
you guys love Raven Down. If we make it bigger and put something in the middle, you guys will love it.
Gold Rush would have been a good map.
Yeah. Clock Tower 2.0.
Yeah.
That's what Gold Rush is. Clock Tower 2.0.
I think it's a better version of Clock Tower.
Yeah, because you don't have
because the
all
action's
that.
down low instead of up top.
Yeah.
Clock Tower was fine until everyone solved it. Like, it was solvable, in my opinion. And it favored one side.
I just don't like the side. Yeah, I just didn't like the sides particularly. And I mentioned that in the beginning. That's my issue with a lot of the Gears maps is that it was so one-sided because they didn't allow you to flip camera. What about Grand Theft Auto? Saints Row? Any of those?
Can't really count.
Max Payne?
Yeah, I didn't play Max Payne.
You didn't play Max Payne 3?
Nope.
I didn't have any for those lists. I'm just wondering if people are interested in
I
that.
want to say Saints Row had a few good ones, but I can't remember any of them distinctly enough to include. I think taking like a global takeaway from my list, and here I'm gonna go down the list, but like
Nexus? What about that map that they didn't release that we played? Ooh,
that was fun.
so good.
We played this map, man. They didn't release it, and when they showed it to us, it was just like I think it was like one of their testers just made it, or one of their artists or something made it, just messing around, trying stuff, and it was the most fun map we played. And then they were like, nah.
It was so good.
But like, I think the most defining thing from the honorable mentions and from our top 10 list is simple, uncluttered map design. I think those are the tenets of most of the stuff on this list. Grenade 3, Checkout, I'd say, is pretty uncluttered. It has a little bit. Guardian, Countdown, Deadly Pass, Karantan. Obviously, the COD 2 stuff was so old that there was no detail whatsoever. Sentinel, not much. Old Town and PDZ, none. Zero detail. Power Plant, almost nothing in the way. There's not like tons of cover thrown around. Calypso probably has the most detail of anything on the list in terms of just lots of stuff in the way. Radial, I can't remember. Gotham Power.
There's buildings.
Quite a
buildings
bit.
there.
I think,
and you could terraform on Red Faction,
yeah.
don't forget. So.
Like the Gotham City Imposters maps all have quite a bit of noise and cover. Nuketown is probably the most simple Call of Duty map ever made in terms of the visual identity and the amount of cover and detail. Some of the COD 4 stuff, like District and Baton, I'd say are like less than the current COD games, like anything past COD 4, but they're still more busy than some of the other maps. Little Big Eye was really busy because it was just a forest.
Little Big Eye, so good.
Then,
do you guys remember getting in the buggy and driving up the hill, running over people as you go up the hill?
Cruising past everything to go for the bases in the back.
Shipment was good. I enjoyed Shipment, but we didn't list that because I thought Nuketown was better, so I didn't put that on honorable mentions.
Yeah, just going through the list, seems like if I was to give any kind of instruction to the level designers of the future, it'd be to keep it simple.
Simplicity
That
at its
said,
finest.
There's kind of a double standard because you want to have the latest and greatest beautiful art in your maps, you know? And oftentimes it gets in the way of
Elite says frontline maps. That would be all you, because you played that game way more than me.
They weren't really that good. I can't. There's the one city map was pretty good. I can't remember what it was called for the life of me.
What was that desert map that wasn't Backstab?
It was Deadly Pass. I already talked about
Deadly
it.
Pass. Yeah, James. Yeah, it's Deadly Pass.
Deadly Pass is the shit.
Yep, we mentioned it. So yeah, that was episode 41. So I think next week, Colin, we should probably do favorite games this generation.
We can.
That's another list. I already got my list.
It's already be next gen though.
No, technically it won't
be
be all the way. It won't be all the way.
1 foot into next gen.
It won't be all the way.
To do the worst maps.
Do worse maps? Man, there's just so
I
many.
can just rattle off.
There's so many maps that are on my worst shit list of all time.
Escalation.
Escalation.
COD 4, the map in Russia with the
Bog.
The two cities or the two walled apartment buildings.
I hated Bog.
Bog.
Oh, God,
Bog
that map
was
was so bad.
There were some massive maps in Ghost Recon which were no good, like Treasury. That map was gigantic.
2 episodes of Frag Logic this week. I don't think I could pull it off. Christy and I are supposed to be streaming on Thursday nights, which I could do Tuesday, Thursday, but that'll throw off our schedule, though. We have to hit exactly 52 weeks on our year.
On our year mark?
Yeah. So I think we'll just chalk it up, Colin. We got to do it. Favorite games this generation. Episode 42.
That could be a shorter show. I don't know. Like,
Yeah. Unless you
they
want
all
to sit
shoot
there
it
and
up.
talk about the games, it's gonna be yeah because
I didn't play a
you
lot of the
don't like
campaign stuff.
fun.
Yeah.
You don't like fun.
And yeah, there's a few. There's a few. Actually, if I get to throw PlayStation 3 games in, the few that I've played, I might have some
What?
stuff to contribute there.
Okay. I actually have a Wii title on my list. I already have a list too, by the way, because I was thinking about it.
If we do that, then we have to include PC stuff and just do like
This generation, so we have to do from the year 2000 whatever to
6, I think it was. Yeah.
well, Wii whatever Wii came out, 2005.
We can count. Okay, fine. We'll count the Wii.
Well, what? You're not gonna count the Wii? Why do you have to be all snarky about it? Oh, ugh.
It barely counts. It barely counts.
Ugh, ugh.
It's
What do you
basically the next version of the GameCube.
Ugh,
It was GameCube 2.
ugh.
Or not even GameCube 1.5.
Big Armada, Wii Fit. Oh boy.
Wii Bowling.
Wii
Yeah,
Sports. That's the game on my list.
It's not on your list.
I swear to God, it's on my list. Wii Sports.
All right.
Hope you guys enjoyed this show. It was fun.
Yeah, I hope you guys liked it. It was lots of fun going through, just looking at all the maps and getting that nostalgia bomb.
Yeah.
And hopefully another generation of good maps coming. Maybe.
Maybe.
I have my doubts.
I don't think it's going to get any better, to be honest. But we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.